The Grand War Arena of the Kairos Dominion was built for one purpose: fear. Its black stone walls rose like a mountain around the fighting pit. Energy barriers hummed above the crowd. Thousands filled the seats. Generals, commanders, nobles in polished armor. Every one of them had come to watch another lesson. At the center of the arena stood Varkle the Unbroken. For 217 years, no one had defeated him. Not in training, not in ritual combat, not in war. His armor was dark red, marked with the symbols of conquered systems. His height alone made most warriors step back. His shoulders were wide. His hands looked like weapons. Across the arena gates, a human stepped forward. Ethan Hale. He was young. Too young, some thought. His uniform was simple. No heavy armor. No glowing blades. Just standard cadet gear. His hands trembled at his sides. His breathing was fast. A Dominion officer leaned forward and whispered he should kneel, but Ethan did not kneel. He swallowed, lifted his chin, and stepped into sand. The arena grew quiet, not fully silent, just the kind of quiet that comes before something violent. Varkle looked down at the human. "You understand what this is?" Varkle asked. His voice echoed through the arena, without effort. Ethan nodded. He did not trust his voice. "You challenged," Varkle said. Ethan shook his head. "I refused to bow." That caused a stir in the seats above. Refusal to bow was worse than a challenge. Varkle's eyes narrowed. "Then you understand the cost." Ethan's hands clenched. He knew. Everyone knew. This would be over in seconds. The signal light flashed. There was no countdown. Varkle moved. One moment he was standing still. The next, the sand beneath him exploded outward. His body blurred forward. The air cracked with the force of his speed. A shock wave rippled across the arena floor. Gasps rose from the crowd. Ethan barely saw it. All he saw was a shadow and a massive fist flying toward his head. The crowd looked away. They had seen this before. The strike alone would shatter bone. It would crush armor. It would end the human before he hit the ground. Varkle's fist came down like a falling star. Then it stopped, not slowed, not pushed aside. Stopped. The sound of impact never came. The shock wave faded. The arena did not cheer. It did not scream. It went silent because Varkle's massive hand was frozen in the air. And another hand held it, a human hand. Calm, steady, bare. Between Varkle and Ethan now stood another man. He had not been in the arena seconds before. No armor, no visible weapons, no combat stance. His posture was relaxed, almost casual. Marcus Vale. His fingers were wrapped around Varkle's wrist. The size difference was absurd. Varkle's arm looked like a steel pillar compared to Marcus's. Yet it did not move. Varkle pushed. Nothing happened. Marcus's boots did not slide in the sand. Ethan stumbled backward, eyes wide, breath shaking. The crowd leaned forward as one. Scanners activated along the arena walls. Energy readings flashed across Dominion screens. Officers checked for shields, implants, hidden tech. There was nothing. No energy barrier. No mechanical support. Just muscle and bone. Marcus looked at Varkle calmly, as if stopping a warlord's killing strike was a normal thing. "You should not kill cadets," Marcus said in a quiet voice. It was not loud, but the arena carried it. Varkle's eyes burned. He pulled harder. His muscles tightened. The veins along his arm glowed faintly with power. Still nothing. Marcus's expression did not change. He was not smiling. He was not angry. He was not even tense. He simply held the fist in place. The silence grew heavy. Varkle stepped forward with his other foot and tried to twist free. Sand cracked under his weight. The barrier field above flickered from a force. Marcus adjusted his grip, slightly. The movement was small, but Varkle's arm locked completely. For the first time in 2 centuries, the Unbroken did not control the center of the arena. Ethan stared at the back of Marcus's jacket. He did not understand what he was seeing. Neither did the Dominion. A commander whispered, "Who is that?" No one answered. Marcus slowly lowered Varkle's fist away from Ethan's head. He did not shove it. He guided it down. Controlled. Careful. Like a teacher correcting a child. Varkul's breathing changed. It was no longer steady. His chest rose faster. His mind raced through possibilities, hidden tech, gravity manipulation, neural dampening. But the scanners showed nothing. Just human. Marcus released his wrist. Varkul stepped back on instinct. The crowd noticed that. Varkul never stepped back. Marcus did not move toward him. He did not prepare to attack. He simply stood there, between the cadet and the warlord. His eyes met Varkul's. Calm, steady, watching. Varkul studied him. Replayed data flashed across his combat visor. Frame by frame. The moment of impact. The angle. The speed. Marcus had moved before the strike reached full extension. Not reacting. Predicting. Varkul felt something unfamiliar rise in his chest. Not pain. Not anger. Something colder. Understanding. He looked at Marcus more closely. The human had not guessed. He had not been lucky. His grip had been perfect. Timed. Measured. Precise. Varkul's voice lowered. That wasn't a reflex, he realizes. He saw it coming. Varkul stepped back. It was a small movement, but everyone saw it. For 217 years, he had never stepped back from an opponent. Others stepped back. Others fell. Others begged. But now the unbroken created distance. The arena remained silent. Above the pit, Dominion scanners glowed brighter. Thin beams of blue light swept over Marcus Vale from head to toe. Data streamed across military displays. Officers leaned forward, waiting for the hidden secret to appear. Implants, none. Energy shielding, none. Kinetic dampeners, none. Neural acceleration chips, none. Bone reinforcement, standard human density. Heart rate, steady, too steady. A technician cleared his throat. Confirmed. No augmentation detected. A murmur spread across the elite seating. Just human. Marcus loosened his grip and released Varkul's wrist as if letting go of something unimportant. He did not move into a fighting stance. He did not raise his guard high. His hands rested loosely at his sides. He looked almost relaxed. You swing hard, Marcus said calmly, but you telegraph. The words carried clearly in the still air. Varkul's eyes narrowed. Telegraph. The insult was simple. It meant predictable. The alien elites shifted uncomfortably. Humans were not listed among apex combat species. Their files placed them at mid-tier strength. Adaptable, resilient, clever, but not dominant. Certainly not stronger than Varkul. Varkul's pride burned hotter than the arena lights. Without warning, he attacked again. This time he moved faster. The sand did not explode outward. There was no dramatic shockwave. He controlled his force, compressed it inward, focused everything into speed. His arm snapped forward like a striking beast. Marcus did not block. He stepped slightly to the side. The fist passed his face by less than a finger's width. Gasps rose from the crowd. Varkul pivoted instantly, driving a second strike toward Marcus's ribs. Marcus leaned back just enough. The strike cut through air. Another attack followed. Then another. Elbow, knee, backhand. Each movement was faster than the last. Each strike missed, not by wide margins, not by lucky gaps, by millimeters. Marcus's boots barely shifted in the sand. His breathing stayed slow. His eyes stayed locked on Varkul's shoulders and hips. He was not scrambling. He was not barely escaping. He moved before the full motion formed. The audience began to notice. A general activated slow-motion playback on his wrist display. Frame by frame, he watched the exchange. Marcus shifted before Varkul's muscles reached peak tension, before the blow completed its arc. He isn't responding to impact, the general muttered. Another officer nodded slowly. He's responding to intention. Varkul increased his speed again. The air cracked with each strike now. The barrier field flickered from repeated shock waves. Sand lifted into swirling patterns around them. Marcus continued to step aside. One small pivot. One half step back. One slight turn of the shoulder. Every motion was small. Economical. Nothing wasted. The difference became clear. Varkle fought with force. Marcus fought with timing. A heavy kick swept toward Marcus's legs. Marcus lifted his foot a second before contact. The kick skimmed beneath him, missing by a breath. He set his foot down exactly where it needed to be. Still calm. Still quiet. Still watching. Varkle's breathing grew louder. He launched forward with a full combination now, abandoning precision for raw speed. The arena lights reflected off his armor as his fists blurred. Marcus slipped between the strikes. Not fast enough to be a blur, but early enough to never be touched. The difference was almost invisible. To the untrained eye, it looked like Marcus was lucky. To the commander studying the feed, it was something else entirely. Pattern recognition. Varkle drove a straight punch toward Marcus's throat. Marcus tilted his head slightly. The fist brushed a strand of his hair. The crowd reacted as one, a wave of shock moving through thousands of bodies. Still, Marcus did not counterattack. He did not strike back. He did not attempt to dominate. He simply avoided. Varkle pulled back and paused for half a second. In that half second, Marcus did not press forward. He remained in place, hands loose, posture easy, waiting, watching, reading. The realization began to spread through the arena like cold water. Marcus was not surviving because he was faster. He was surviving because he knew. He was reading Varkle's weight shifts, his shoulder angles, the tightening of muscle before release, the rhythm of breath before exertion. He saw the storm before the lightning. Varkle roared and attacked again, fastened before, pushed his body close to its limit. Marcus stepped aside once more. The strike shattered sand where he had stood. Marcus's face showed no fear, no strain, no anger, just focus. To Varkle, it felt wrong. Opponents usually showed something: panic, desperation, aggression. Marcus showed nothing. That emptiness was worse. Another strike missed. Then another. The rhythm shifted. Varkle was attacking. Marcus was not retreating. He was guiding the space between them, controlling the distance without ever striking. The alien elites began whispering to one another. This is not physical dominance. It's anticipation. It's calculation. On the highest balcony, an older commander leaned forward, his voice low. He isn't reacting. Below, Varkle lunged once more. Marcus moved before the foot, left the ground. The strike passed harmlessly through empty air. Marcus straightened, hands still relaxed. From the command balcony, a quiet whisper drifted into the tense silence. "Why does he look bored?" whispers an alien commander. The arena did not cheer. It did not move. Varkle stood still for the first time since the fight began. His chest rose and fell heavily. Sand drifted slowly back to the ground around them. Marcus remained calm, hands at his sides, eyes steady. High above the arena floor, inside the Dominion command chamber, a military analyst worked quickly. His claws moved across a holographic console. Screens filled with archive data. Pull everything, a general ordered. Full human combat history. Evolutionary records. Military files. The analyst nodded. Ancient planetary scans appeared. Gravity index, higher than Dominion standard. Atmosphere density, unstable. Climate volatility, extreme. The analyst swallowed. Humans evolved on a high-gravity world. Another screen displayed wildlife records. Predator count, severe. Environmental hazards, constant. In early history, the analyst continued, they were not the top predators. Images flashed across the display. Large creatures, sharp teeth, claws, massive bodies. Humans were smaller, faster but fragile. Millions of years adapting under threat. The analyst said quietly. Another file opened. Conflict history, wars, internal struggles, survival competitions, resource scarcity, centuries of internal conflict, he added. The general frowned. That does not explain this. The analyst pulled up neurological scans, human brain mapping, enhanced stress response patterns, neural pathways lighting up during combat simulation, pattern recognition, analyst whispered. Under stress, human brains increase predictive processing. The general looked down at the arena floor. Marcus was not reacting to strikes. He was predicting them. Below, Varkul's pride had turned to anger. He had never been made to look uncertain before, never been studied like prey. A low growl escaped his throat. Without warning, he charged. This time he did not hold back. The sand exploded beneath him. The barrier field above crackled. His armor glowed faintly as he pushed his body past controlled speed. The crowd gasped. Marcus did not step aside. For the first time, he moved forward. The shift was small but clear. Instead of retreating from the attack, he stepped into it. Varkul's fist aimed straight for his chest. Marcus pivoted slightly. His left hand redirected the arm just enough. His right hand moved once. Not wide, not dramatic. 2 fingers pressed sharply into a small point just below Varkul's collar plate. A nerve cluster. Precise. Measured. The movement took less than a second. Varkul's body froze mid-strike. His eyes widened. The strength drained from his arm instantly. His legs buckled. The massive warlord crashed to one knee. The sound echoed across the arena. Gasps turned into shouts, then into chaos. The crowd erupted. Some stood in disbelief. Others shouted commands. Officers barked into communication devices. How? Structural damage? Internal rupture? Scanners activated again. The analyst's voice came through the command chamber, almost stunned. No bone fractures. No organ damage. Muscular signal disruption only. Varkul tried to stand. His body did not respond. His arms trembled. His legs refused command. He was not broken. He was disabled. Marcus stepped back half a pace. He did not raise his hands in victory. He did not pose. He simply watched Varkul kneel. The unbroken had fallen to one knee, for the first time in 2 centuries. The arena's noise slowly lowered into a tense murmur. Marcus looked down at him. Instead of stepping away, he knelt beside the warlord. The gesture confused everyone. He did not press an advantage. He did not strike again. He leaned close enough that only those nearest could clearly hear his words. You fight like someone who's never been hunted, Marcus said quietly. Varkul's breathing was heavy. His body still refused full control. His mind replayed the last second. Marcus had not used brute force. He had not overpowered him. He had waited. He had studied. Then he had chosen a single moment. Above. The analyst stared at the human neurological data. They evolved as prey before they became hunters, he whispered. The general understood. Predators rely on strength and dominance. Prey survive by reading danger early, by sensing shifts in movement, by predicting attack before it lands. Humans carry both instincts. In the arena, the fear changed. It was no longer fear of power. It was fear of understanding. Marcus placed a steady hand on Varkul's shoulder, not to restrain, not to threaten, just steady. After several seconds, Varkul's muscles began to respond again. Slow signals returned. His fingers twitched. His legs regained balance. Marcus stood and stepped back, giving him space. He had proven his point. Without destruction, without humiliation, the arena no longer saw a weaker species. They saw something else. Humans were never the largest, never the strongest, never the most armored. They survived storms. They survived predators. They survived each other. They survived long enough to learn. The Dominion had measured humans by strength. They had misunderstood the measurement. Humans were not built to overpower every threat. They were built to endure them. And in that arena, under thousands of watching eyes, one truth settled quietly over the Caro's Dominion. Humans were never the strongest. They were the survivors. The arena did not calm quickly. Even after Varkul regained control of his limbs and stood on his own, the air felt different. The noise was no longer loud and wild. It was sharp, focused, controlled. High above the arena floor, Dominion leaders gathered in an emergency chamber. Holographic screens floated between them, replaying the fight from every angle. Slow motion, frame by frame. The moment Marcus stepped in, the exact second he redirected the strike. The precise touch that disabled Varkle without breaking him. One senior commander spoke first. If one human can neutralize a Dominion's strongest warlord without aggression, what does that say about their military? No one answered right away. Another officer enlarged the neurological data from Part 3. He did not overpower Varkle, she said. He outread him. A third leaned forward, and he never escalated. That was the part that troubled them most. Marcus had many chances to injure Varkle badly. He had chosen not to. He had proven control. Below, the arena floor remained open and still. Marcus stood several steps away from Varkle now. His posture was straight, but relaxed. His breathing was even. He did not look like a conqueror. He looked like someone waiting for a conversation. The crowd slowly quieted as Marcus turned toward the seating tiers. His voice carried without amplification. Humans do not seek dominance. The words were simple, clear. We avoid unnecessary conflict. A ripple moved through the audience. We fight only when protection is required. He glanced briefly toward Ethan Hale. The young cadet still stood near the edge of the arena, pale but upright. His earlier fear had changed into something else. Confusion, realization. Ethan replayed the moment in his mind. Marcus had not entered when Varkle insulted him, not when Varkle roared, not when the crowd mocked. He had stepped in only when the killing strike fell. Marcus did not act to prove strength. He acted to stop execution. Ethan felt a quiet weight settle in his chest. This was not a display. It was protection. In the command chamber above, silence followed Marcus's words. A political advisor finally spoke. If this restraint is standard human doctrine, the sentence did not need finishing. If this restraint was standard, then human power was not reckless. It was controlled. That made it more dangerous and more stable. Back in the arena, Varkle straightened fully. The earlier anger was gone from his posture. So was the pride that demanded dominance. He studied Marcus carefully. There was no mockery in the human's face. No hunger for victory. Only calm. Varkle understood something important in that moment. Marcus had never treated him like an enemy. He had treated him like a threat that needed to be stopped. Nothing more. The difference mattered. Slowly, in front of thousands of witnesses, Varkle stepped forward. The arena held its breath again. He stopped at a respectful distance. Then he lowered his head, not deeply, not in surrender, but clearly. A bow. Gasps echoed through the upper tiers. The unbroken did not bow, not to rulers, not to generals, not to champions. Yet he bowed now, not in defeat, in acknowledgement. Marcus returned the gesture with a small nod. No triumph, no dramatic gesture, just recognition. Ethan watched, understanding more clearly now. Power was not loud. Power did not need to shout. The true shift in the arena was not fear of human strength. It was respect for human control. The Dominion had always measured species by force output, armor density, fleet size. But what Marcus showed was different. He showed discipline. He showed that humans could end a fight without destroying the opponent. He showed that stopping violence was sometimes more powerful than winning it. In the command chamber, the senior commander finally gave an order. Update human classification. The analyst hesitated. From moderate combat species? The commander nodded slowly. To strategic priority species. There was no panic in his voice, only caution. Back on the arena floor, Marcus stepped aside and motioned for Ethan to leave the pit. Ethan walked past him, heart still pounding, but taller now. He understood why Marcus had not flinched. It was not because he lacked fear. It was because he had already measured the threat and decided it would not win. As Marcus exited the arena, the crowd did not cheer wildly. They stood, one by one, a slow, spreading acknowledgement, not of domination, but of something harder to command, respect. The arena had emptied, but the silence remained. Deep inside the Caros Dominion Citadel, a private chamber overlooked the dark side of the planet. Stars stretched across the glass wall like cold fire. Only two figures stood inside. Varkle the Unbroken, Marcus Vale. No guards, no audience, No commanders watching through screens. Just quiet. Varkle had removed his armor. Without it, he looked less like a war machine and more like a warrior. The faint marks along his skin told stories of past battles. None of them had ended the way today had. Marcus stood near the window, hands loosely behind his back. For a long moment, neither spoke. Finally, Varkle broke the silence. "Why didn't you fear me?" There was no anger in the question, no pride, only curiosity. Marcus did not turn immediately. He watched the distant stars for a second longer, then faced Varkle. "Because fear is loud," Marcus said calmly. He stepped forward slightly. "And you were very loud." Varkle frowned slightly. "Loud?" "You move with force," Marcus said, "with dominance, with certainty. You wanted the arena to feel your power before your strike even landed." "That is strength," Varkle replied. "It is one kind," Marcus agreed. The room grew quiet again. Marcus continued, his voice steady and simple. "Humans learned long ago that the loud predator is rarely the most dangerous." Varkle listened closely. "On our world," Marcus said, "we were not the strongest creatures, not the fastest, not the most armored. For a long time, we were hunted." Varkle's eyes narrowed slightly. "We survived because we learned to listen, to notice patterns, to feel shifts in air, to sense danger before it reached us." Marcus tapped lightly against the side of his head. "Our mind became our defense." Varkle remembered the fight, the millimeter movements, the early pivots, the precise strike. "You were reading me," Varkle said quietly. "Yes." "You saw my attack before it happened." "I saw the signs," Marcus corrected gently. "Muscle tension, weight shift, breath change, intent." Varkle let out a slow breath. "And you did not finish me," he said. Marcus shook his head. There was no need. Another silence settled between them, but it was no longer tense. Varkle spoke again. "You could have humiliated me." "I did not step into the arena for pride," Marcus replied. "I stepped in because a cadet was about to die." The words were simple. They carried more weight than any threat. Varkle lowered his gaze briefly. "On my world," he said slowly, "we respect dominance." Marcus nodded. "On ours, we respect restraint." Varkle studied him carefully. "You did not fear me," he repeated. Marcus met his gaze directly. "The most dangerous predator," Marcus said quietly, "is the calm one." Varkle understood. A creature that roars announces itself. A creature that is silent chooses a moment. Outside the chamber, Dominion analysts work without pause. Reports move through secure channels. Arena footage was reviewed by every strategic council. Classification protocols were updated. Human combat assessment. Previous status, moderate threat. Revised status, strategic apex. Not because of raw strength. Not because of fleet numbers. Because of control. Because of prediction. Because of restraint. Inside the chamber, Varkle extended his hand. Not as a challenge. Not as a test. As respect. Marcus took it. The grip was firm but calm. No tension. No contest. Two warriors acknowledging understanding. When Marcus finally left the chamber, the corridor outside was lined with silent Dominion officers. None blocked his path. None questioned him. They watched, measured, recalculated. Across the Dominion network, one thought spread quietly through military and political ranks alike. Humans were not reckless conquerors. They were patient. And patience, when combined with strength, was something far more difficult to defeat. In distant systems, whispers would begin about the arena, about the warlord who bowed, about the human who did not flinch. The galaxy had always prepared for human aggression. It built defenses against fleets. It planned for retaliation. It studied weapons. But in that chamber, under quiet stars, a deeper truth settled into Dominion memory. The galaxy feared human aggression. It never considered human patience.